Hello and welcome to the History of Beltane and Witches' Night. My name is Birch, and I'll be presenting tonight on the history of Beltane and how it may or may not tie into the holiday called in Germany today either Hexenacht, which means Witches' Night, or Walpurgis Night, which is named after an early Christian saint. This means time traveling back to a particular slice of English history. And so let's start there, shall we? It is 810 AD. 3 years ago, Constantine III, one of the Roman generals, declared himself Emperor of the Western Empire and took most of the remaining Roman legionaries out of Britain and into Gaul in order to raise support and seize the empire. Last year, even the skeletal remnants of Roman authority were overthrown, and local British chieftains are now in charge for the first time in generations. One of them is probably named Artos, but we'll talk about him in a future class. On the mainland, Rome is in its death throes, with constant new threats arising at every turn. Sensing an opportunity, war bands of the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes turned to the newly independent Britannia colony and their long proud warships westward across the North Sea, as you see here. They'd been raiding against the Romans on British soil for the last 160 years, but now those Romans are gone. So what do these Angles and Saxons and Jutes do? They settle their longships on the beachheads, and then they settle themselves. The Saxon shore takes on a new meaning as the newcomers slowly absorb the former Roman territory and make it their own. Fast forward 200 years, and the land is now called England, after the Anglo-Saxons who settled there along the eastern shores of the island. And as Christianity left with the Romans, the land became dotted with holy sites, named after the Germanic gods, such as Woden, Woden's lair Holy Grove, picture of which you see here, Tyrsmere, Tyrs Lake, and Thunar, aka Thor, Thunderly, Thunar's Ley, or Thunar's Woods. The 7th century was a time of clashing religions in England as the Germanic pagans vied with the Christian missionaries for religious control. In the end, as we all know, Christianity won out, and the sacred groves and trees were either cut down or had churches built on top of them, replacing the old sacred sites for new ones. Therefore, it's safe to say that many ancient pagan traditions of England may have links to both traditional Celtic pagan traditions as well as German pagan traditions, which were imported, along with those Angles and Saxons and Jutes, from Saxony and East Anglia. And that is our inspiration for the Beltane ritual, which incorporates elements of both. So now that we've got the essential history of how German and Celtic paganism would have mixed in Britain covered, let's continue and talk about the holidays of Beltane and Witches' Night, how they share many similarities, and also the deities and other associations with them. So Beltane. There's a Beltane poem I particularly like. Oak and May, on this day, will both heed those in need. Goddess bright, God of sun, bless your children till our days are done. So now let's go over some of the history, traditions, and symbols of Beltane. Beltane comes from Bel, another name for the bright god Belanus, perhaps a Gaelic name for Cernunnos, and Tane, an old Irish Gaelic word meaning fire. So Bel's fire. Fire is perhaps the oldest symbol of Beltane. Beltane marks the time when the Irish would move their cattle from the winter to the summer pastures by sending them past ritual fires which would purify them as they passed. The fire and smoke were also said to ensure fertility among the herd that year. Fires today invoke concepts of creativity, fertility, and ritual cleansing for all of us as we start the new year. People can jump or circle the Beltane fires too, for the same blessings and fertility effects. However, if you're in a group ritual, jumping the Beltane fire should only be done with the explicit permission of the fire tender, and is usually not allowed for safety reasons. If you really feel the need to jump a ritual fire at Beltane, a safer alternative is to use either a candle or an LED flame on the ground and jump over it versus a full-sized bonfire. As they say, April showers bring May flowers. Since Beltane takes place at the start of May, flowers are in bloom. Beltane garlands are a perennial favorite and often gathered by young women to decorate the May Queen and themselves at the May parades, or gathered by young men and left at the windowsill of their sweethearts as a May gift. It is best to pick these flowers early in the morning, when they are still covered in the morning dew, because the morning dew of Beltane is said to be especially potent for love spells and fertility magic. Spiritually speaking, Beltane marks the opposite pole on the wheel of the year from Samhain. So again, the veils between this world and the world of the spirit grow very thin, but the vivacity and fertility of the spring earth draws the fairy folk also out of the hollow hills and into human meadows and forests, and likewise, many humans who go too far astray at this time of year might find themselves inside the hollow hills, and may not find their way out again. This is also the time when the male spirit of the earth, called sometimes Jack in the Green Man, Cernunnos, and many other names, impregnates the Earth Mother and in all of her names in the Celtic myth, and brings life and greenery back to the land after the end of winter. Because of that, Beltane is considered first and foremost a fertility holiday, and fertility rituals abound to ensure plentiful crops and harvests in the coming year. This association stretches from pre-Christian times to the modern day, symbolized among humans by the May Queen and the May King. They may carry garlands of hawthorn, a sacred Beltane plant, or other flowering plants. Another Beltane tradition that has survived the centuries is the maypole. This pole, often constructed of birchwood, like the one pictured here on the left from our Beltane festivities, or it could be other trees as well. And this is a tradition found all over Europe. Participants in the maypole dance hold ribbons and circle the pole to decorate it with those colorful ribbons. And of course, the maypole itself is a pretty clear fertility symbol. It is, in fact, so pagan and so fertile that it has been periodically banned by the Christian church leadership, although those bans never seem to have stuck for long. Our maypole, of course, was named after birch because, well, I may be a little bit biased towards my namesake tree. Other Beltane symbols you may see are the hawthorn bush, which blooms around May 1st. You'll find hawthorn references all over the literature about Beltane, and this bush is equally popular with both Beltane and Witches' Night celebrations. However, a uniquely English and Welsh phenomenon around Beltane is the hobby horse, which is often trotted out in May Day celebrations to welcome in the new season as part of the Mummers play, which marks the shift from winter to summer. So now let's change gears a little bit and talk about Witches' Night, or Hexennacht in German. This holiday shares many traditions and symbols with Beltane, including the date, which is around April 30th or May 1st, overnight basically from the sundown on the 30th to dawn on the 1st, sacred hawthorn bushes, dancing and fertility rituals around a fire, and maples. German maples are traditionally made out of birch, which is sacred to the German earth goddess, called sometimes Frau Hulda, Verwirkte, Mother Gerda, Nerthus, and other names depending on the region. Now, we all met Frau Perkta, the birch goddess, last winter at Krampusnacht. The German earth goddesses have two main aspects. There is the loving mother and the wild crone. The crone aspect is associated with the winter, when she takes up the reins of the wild hunt from her husband Woden at Winter's Night, a holiday roughly corresponding to Samhain in Britain and Ireland, the way Witches' Night does to Beltane. During these months, Krampus and the Perchten run wild through the Alps, and any housewife leaves the spinning unfinished by then at her own peril. Spring and Witches' Night, however, marks the transformation back from the wild, violent, dangerous months of the winter to the kindly, beautiful, and nurturing time of summer. Just as the world itself changes, so does the earth goddess. Witches' Night is the time when we literally turn the world around, from the darkness and danger to the light and comfort of summer. The exact details of Witches' Night are very uncertain. It definitely happened at the end of April and beginning of May, because that is when the Christian Church put the feast of St. Walpurga, Walpurgisnacht, to counteract the continued worship of the earth goddess in rural Germany. In fact, many of the symbols are the same between St. Walpurga and the traditional earth goddess. In fact, the worship of the earth goddess likely continued in secret for a long time, as the witches did not abandon their goddess so easily. However, that worship continued in secret, demonized by the church for generations after the fall of the German pagan community, which is where probably tales of evil witches gathering on the mountain to dance with fires came from. Those stories lived on in German folklore from early times all the way into almost today. Nowadays, of course, the witches openly dance on the sacred mountains and worship the goddess after dark, or at least more openly than they did. So the ritual that you'll be seeing attached to this is dedicated to Frau Holda and Woden, or as they are known, the Norse version of the faith, Frigg and Odin. If you're more familiar or comfortable with them in that aspect, you may think of them by those names as well. Frau Holda's sacred symbols are the sheaf of wheat, the black dog, and the spindle. Woden is much like his Norse counterpart. His symbols are the spear, the wolf, and the raven. Another goddess closely associated with this time of year is Ostara, but she is actually not historically linked with March. March and the spring equinox are a new association for her based on the Wiccan wheel of the year. Traditionally, Ostara is worshipped on the first full moon after the spring equinox. Coincidentally, that is a date which exactly matches the Christian Easter because of the Jewish holiday of Passover. That may be why the name Easter was changed in German-speaking parts of the world to that word in English, versus in Spanish and Latin-speaking countries, where it's usually a link to the word Pascua, which is the language in Latin. So now we are going to come to our meditation. Now, if you're at home, you'll want to, before you start, pause this video and select some kind of divination aid. It can be runes, cards, dice. I've heard this meditation done in groups before with a variety of different materials. The main thing is it should be something you are comfortable with and able to read, with aid or otherwise, at the end of the ritual. And I will indicate at the time when you will draw your divination aid or cast your divination aid as necessary. So to start the ritual, close your eyes and rest your feet flat on the floor. Shake out any stiffness you may feel in your neck, your shoulders, your legs, and make yourself as comfortable as possible. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it a moment. before you release through your mouth. And do this 2 more times. In and out. In and out. As you release, feel the tension ease from your body. You feel relaxed. Now you find yourself standing in an empty room. On the far wall, there is a blackboard with a piece of chalk resting on the ledge. You walk up to the blackboard and pick up the chalk. With a moment of reflection, write down any worries, any problems, any difficulties you may be having in your life. Take this moment to write them down. And when you have written down all that is holding you back, this is when you set down the chalk. As soon as you put it down, you find that there is now an eraser on the ledge. So you pick up the eraser, and on that blackboard, you erase away all of those worries, and keep erasing until they're all gone from sight. And then set the eraser down. As soon as you set the eraser down, you see that the blackboard is actually a trapdoor. It springs open, revealing a hidden passage out of the room. Walk through this tunnel, and you see how there is a light shining ahead of you. Keep going, and you find yourself standing in an open meadow surrounded by trees. The sky is a clear blue, and the sun is shining overhead. That was the light which you saw earlier. When you look behind you, you see that the tunnel has disappeared. But there's a path leading through the trees. Move forward and start walking down this path. All around you, birds are singing in the trees, and the day is perfect for a refreshing walk in the woods. Not too hot, not too cold. Spring flowers are blooming all along the trail, and the leaves are a bright, fresh green on the trees. When you breathe in, you can smell the fresh scent of flowers all around you. It makes you feel so excited and so at peace. But what is that ahead of you? Another path crosses the one you are on. Where the 2 paths meet, they form a crossroads, with a well standing directly ahead of you on the other corner. You stop here because you know that wells and crossroads are both signs of powerful magic in any forest. While you wait, feel free to draw up a cup of fresh, clear water from the well. It tastes better than any water you have ever drunk before. Drink your fill, then sink down to rest and relax on the soft grass. As you sit, running your fingers through the blades of grass, can you believe that every blade of grass around you is a living, breathing entity as alive as you are? Here, that is easy to understand, with the taste of the well's water fresh on your tongue. As you wait, you hear a soft thump, thump, thump coming up the path. It is a hare, one of Ostara's hares, here with the blessings of Easter month and a gift for you to mark the passage of time from winter to spring. As the hare approaches, you hold out your hand and you receive a gift from its Easter Ostara basket. Now is the time to cast or pull or toss or choose whatever it is that you are using to receive the message from Ostara and her hair. Now hold tight to your gift until you are ready to go back. Holding it in your hand, you walk back down the path. And you know now that this, whatever it is that the Ostara hair has come to give you, is what you were coming there for. Return along the beautiful path lined with flowers in all shades of the rainbow, to the meadow where you started. The secret door opens up as soon as you enter it, and you cross back through the tunnel. When you get back to the empty room, the words showing your worries and fears are back on the blackboard, but do not worry. The meaning of the Ostara's hair's gift holds the answer you need to solve these problems, to solve whatever it is that has been weighing upon you. This is the secret you need in order to turn the world around. When you are ready, feel yourself returning to your body. You open your eyes and see what message they left for you. You may need to look up its meaning for yourself, but whatever is there holds the answers you have been looking for. Thank you, and this concludes our initial presentation on Walpurgis Nacht and Beltane. Now I'm going to share with you all a clip from our Beltane ritual held in Palm Beach, Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, on April 30th of 2022. Thank you all.
Carried water in the sunlight, and it said the sun will take care of it. No, it needs water, said the rain fairy. And argued the rain fairy, who gently poured just a little bit of water into its container, not too much and not too little. Oh no, it needs music, insisted the song fairy, who sat down next to it and sang songs. Well, no, it needs nutrients, said the earth fairy, who made sure that the soil was just right. All the fairies did their very, very best to take care of the little seed. But the fairies all wanted to know who had been right, who gave the seed the most so it would grow. Oh, you silly fairies, said the plant. Said, don't you know, I needed all of you. All of you. I needed the sunlight, the rain, the songs, the nutrients, or I never would have been able to grow up. All these things together are what made me strong and healthy. Blessed be.
Blessed be. And now, our plant guardians are going to come forward and pass out small cups of soil to everyone in the circle. Hold on to your soil during the meditation, please.
Soil down below if we run out of cups. I filled up 25 to start. Don't bring people in the back. Okay, that's a cup for spirit then. So now for our meditation, I want everyone to hold on to your cup so you really put your energies into it. Stare into the soil and take a moment and consider what you might want to offer to a rosemary bush as a blessing. Maybe you might want to wish it plenty of sun, like a sun fairy, or water, like a rain fairy, or love, or anything else you can imagine it might need. And just whisper that little blessing to the plant. Now take another moment and consider the community that you see around you. The Grove, Scales and Tails, Palm Beach Pagans, your friends, the people you just met today, or even the broader community and the world around us. What kind of blessing might you want to offer the world at large and the community you love? And whisper that blessing into the soil as well. And once you're finished, you can come forward and pour the soil from your cup into one of the two terracotta pots on the table. It's going to be going towards our rosemaries, and one rosemary will be staying here at Scales and Tails, and the other one will be coming home with us at the Grove to symbolize the shared community that we've all experienced today. So just pour whichever one it feels right to you, and we'll spread that blessings and that love to these plants. Okay, so let's bring up the, let's just do it here by the plants.
May you be blessed by the rain.
May you be blessed by the earth.
May you be blessed by the sunlight.
May you be blessed by love.
May the blessings of the God fall upon these plants, that they may be a symbol of growth and vitality for many years to come. And that is how a community grows.
And may the blessings of the goddess fall upon these plants, that they may be a symbol of love and fellowship for many years to come. And that is how we shall turn the world around.
And now it's time for cake and ale. Everybody set?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have all done our part to turn the world around. Now it's time for our circle to open back up to the world, starting to the north.
We
Come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. I come from the mountain, living in the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around.
We come from the ocean, living in the ocean. Like dolphins in the ocean, turn the world around.
I come from the ocean, living in the ocean. Go back to the ocean, turn the world around.
We come from
The fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around.
I come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around.
We come from the air, living in the air. Go back to the air, turn the world around.
I come from
We come from the
Spirit, living in the Spirit. Go back to the Spirit, turn the world around. I come from the Spirit, living in the Spirit. Go back to the Spirit, turn the world around.
Woden, thank you for your presence on this Beltane night. We will always seek to turn the world around. Hail and farewell, my friend.
Hail and farewell.
Frau Hulda, thank you for your presence on Witches' Night. With the power of the earth, we shall seek to turn the world around. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
And thank you to Scales and Tales for your generous hosting today. Thank you all for coming out and staying for the ritual. I hope you had a good experience. I hope we all can turn the world around from here. So, with that said, sweeper, sealer, our working is done. Now it is the time to turn the world around outside of the circle.
The circle is open but unbroken.
We sweep the Beltane blessings far and wide. Blessings to the community from all.
Merry
Merry
meet,
meet,
merry part, and merry meet again.